Welcome to the section of BD Playbook on managing and generating inbound opportunities or inbound leads. Remember, the goal of BD is to scale business development, and you do this by replicating one relationship with every single partner that it makes sense for. And eventually, you just want to become the standard for whatever BD relationship you've productized. So if it's menu data or local business data, you just want to become the place where people go to get this. If it's a application that allows you to turn a website directly into a mobile app, you want to be the go-to solution where when somebody wants to do this, they think of you. And when you become this is when you start generating inbound opportunities. Now let's talk about best practices for managing these inbound opportunities when you get to this level. Best practice number one, make it easy for prospective partners to contact you. And you do this by making a visibly available place on your website that people can contact you. So this is just an example of a lead form for publishers, which is the component of biz dev who we did deals with at Single Platform. It just makes it very blatantly obvious where people can contact us if they're interested in learning more about our API. You also want to make sure if you're putting out press releases or articles that are related to biz dev, make sure to give them an email address. Maybe it's business@whateveryourcompanyname.com is, or your specific email address. Make it easy for them to contact you. The easier it is for prospective partners to reach you, the more likely you're going to generate inbound opportunities. Number two, create an inbound opportunity standard operating procedure. And this is really just about efficiency and maximizing your time. If every time a lead comes in, you're having to think about what you need to do, it's going to end up just causing more of your time and energy that could be related to something else, like building out a new BD channel. So you want to create just a standard set of procedures that occur when this happens. Here's an example standard operating procedure for inbound biz dev opportunities. Number one, first, assign one person to manage these. Ideally, this is going to be somebody junior whose original job is just to filter the inbound opportunities and see who's important, who's not. Number two, establish a criteria. So again, this person is going to be filtering who gets a phone call, who just gets maybe sent a one-pager, whatever it is. But you want to just establish a set of rules for this person to determine what the next action is for a particular inbound opportunity. Because if Google writes in, or some fledgling startup that writes in that's not going to be around in 4 weeks, they should be handled differently. Number three, create a frequently asked questions document or partner onboarding PDF. And these can often be the same, they can be different, but basically there's a certain level of partner that deserves personal attention like a phone call, and then there's other people that you just want to give them some initial information that doesn't necessarily warrant a phone call because they might not be meaningful enough. And this is where a frequently asked questions partner onboarding document can come into place. So this basically replaces you having to do this and answer these questions yourself. Here's example elements that you might find in a partner onboarding document. So some information about the company background, the benefit that they receive from working with you, examples of sample partners, maybe even a case study. And this case study should be the ideal example, not any example, because again, this is what every prospective partner is going to be looking at, that you give this piece of information. So you want to make sure to carve it out exactly like the absolute ideal scenario for a relationship for you. Also, you want to include next steps, frequently asked questions, explicit best practices, and contact information should they have any more questions. Here's an example of the partner onboarding documentation for the Single Platform API. Starts out with just a brief About Us section, as well as a description of the benefit, sample partner list, and a case study that specifies a perfect integration so that every person that sees this ideally will use this as a model to replicate within their own properties. Number four, you either hop on a call or send the contract. And again, this is when a relationship has been productized. So assuming that this partner is meaningful and you want to build a relationship with them and potentially see something big coming down the road, hop on a call with this person and maybe even forego sending the frequently asked questions document. But if it's not necessarily that important of a partner and everything that they need can be sent in the partner onboarding documentation as well as maybe even an API agreement, if you're doing an API, just send them the contract and ask them to read it over, and if they have any questions, maybe then you hop on a phone call. Let's talk about another inbound opportunity best practice. Eventually moving to self-service if it makes sense. So once you've productized a relationship, you want to get it to as many people as possible, and you want it to be as easy as possible for them to actualize this relationship so you start driving growth. If it makes sense for you, you might want to think about moving to self-serve. So somebody could literally sign up for this relationship, start implementing it without you even involved. This is the fastest way to get a biz dev relationship in the market. And just a perfect example of this is an open API with accessible standard terms of service. So just to kind of give you an example of what that might be, Foursquare has an open API where anybody that wants to use their location information, so the name, address, and phone number of the businesses on that site, can just get access to this by simply filling out or clicking a I agree to the terms of service. They don't have to hop on a phone call with their biz dev team. They don't have to fill out a contract and sign it. They just literally have to click on an I agree button and they're given an API key. And that's a very scalable way for them to get the Foursquare brand and data in as many places as possible. Okay, let's talk about a few ways to maximize inbound opportunities. So, first way, land marquee partners and display them proudly. So if you want to be the industry standard, you have to look like the industry standard. And a great way to do this is basically go out, get amazing partners or deals, and then get those logos and put them on your website. And one of the things you can do is in the agreement, make sure that you have the right to do this. And here's just an example of single platform, again, my previous company, where we are displaying all of the partners that people look to in the industry on our page. And when somebody's deciding, should we go with single platform or should we go with somebody else? And they see logos like Yelp, the New York Times, All Menus, TripAdvisor. These are all incredibly strong signals that we are the industry leader, which optimizes the number of people that visit the page for a lead form and actually enter in their information. Number two, turn biz dev deals and integration launches into press events. So the more press you can have around your company and the fact that you're doing these biz dev deals to drive growth, the more potential partners might see it and think, you know what, we should be doing this. Why don't we give single platform a call? So you should constantly be looking to generate press and put it out there in the market that you're doing these type of relationships in order to reach potential people and gain visibility that could turn into inbound leads. Number three, develop thought leadership within industry publications and at events. So these are things like guest blog posts, maybe by your CEO, getting featured in magazines, getting featured in digital publications and on panels. These are all excellent places where there's a highly concentrated group of people in your industry that are interested in reaching the same customer base that you want to get in front of. And just a quick example of that is, this is our CEO, Wiley Sorelli, and we made an effort to get him featured as a panelist at the Street Fight Conference, which is the leading source for local publishers and local data, which again is where our biz dev relationships were focused on, is getting the publishers that display local information like Yelp, Foursquare, Yellow Pages, these people. So we wanted to get in front of them. We wanted to be in front of them in a position of thought leadership so that they felt good about our relationship, or if they didn't work with us, would think about it after seeing our CEO on this panel. Okay, number four, become an industry connector. So you should constantly be looking to connect people, whether you're working with them or not. that could benefit from knowing each other. Having a reputation as a connector within your industry makes people want to get to know you, and the more people that want to get to know you and provide value to you, the larger number of potential inbound opportunities there are, because you have a group of people out there thinking of ways that they can add value to you and your company. Okay, a final way to maximize inbound opportunities is to create a highly valuable blog that develops thought leadership in your industry. So if you can be seen as a thought leader, a place where people point other people to go to when they want to know about something or become educated, you're going to get in front of more people. And the more people you're in front of that know about you, that are talking about you, that are looking to you, the larger number of inbound opportunities you're going to get. And a great example of this is Kissmetrics. They're a company that provides analytics software that marketers typically use, and they just have this amazing blog about analytics, marketing, and testing, which is exactly who their customer base is. So there's all these people out there that are learning about Kissmetrics, are talking about Kissmetrics, and are eventually signing up to get more information and potentially even become a customer of Kissmetrics.